right, so remember correlation coefficient, if you want to make a note, this is R. And R is going to be between a -1 and a +1, right? When we're at 1, either negative or positive, this is a super strong relationship. So in a scatter plot, those dots are super close together. If they're kind of no correlation, they're kind of all spread out, the closer we get to 0, the weaker it is, the further away they are from each other, right? There's no pattern really going on. You do need your calculator today. We're going to do a couple of these. Let's look at number 2. I think you can probably do number 1. It does give you a correlation coefficient, and I just want you to tell me what kind of relationship that is representing. So let's look at number 2, because we're going to need our calculator for this. All right. So we have this beautiful table, and we talked about how to find R. Okay, first of all, let's look at this pattern and see what if we can eliminate anything. So the shoe size is going up, and the foot length is going up. Well, that makes sense, right? So if they're both increasing, do you think that's a positive or a negative relationship? A positive. So we can probably get rid of B, don't you think? We'll worry about the rest of these in a minute. So I need everybody to follow along. So we're going to go here. You're going to hit New Document. And what did we talk about yesterday? Which one? List and spreadsheets. Number 4. And then we said you need to make sure you do what? Yeah, you got to put the X and Y. So we're going to put the X next to A and the Y next to B. Remember, we're not ever going to put anything in this equals row. And then when we have a horizontal table, our X's are actually on the top, right? So we're going to type those in. 5, enter, 6, enter, 7, enter, 8, enter. And then we're going to go back to the Y column. You don't have to put the 9.00. You can just put 9, and then 9.25, 9.5, and 9.75. Okay, so remember, you do want to make sure that as many X's as you have that many Y's. And then you're going to come over to the C column. And remember, yesterday we talked about it needs to be blue, right? If you have this little cursor blinking in here, it's not going to work. So if you have a cursor, you just need to go down and then back up, and it'll turn it blue. All right, does anybody remember the keystrokes? Menu. 4, 1. Okay, look at our choices here. Which one looks like Y equals MX plus B that we're used to? 3. And then we're just going to do X, because what did we call the X list? We called it X. Hit enter. What do we call the Y list? Y. And then you guys, you don't even have to do anything else. You can just hit enter twice. And there's our equation. Now, if they asked us for our equation, we very well could say Y equals 1/4 X plus 7.75. That's our equation. That's not what it's asking us about. Are we looking at R squared, or are we looking at R? Of course, on this one, it doesn't really matter. We're looking at R. What was our R? What does that mean? Besides that the answer is A. Super strong what? Positive. So if it is exactly a +1 or exactly a -1, that means it is in fact linear, right? So if we graph this, these dots are going to be in a line. It's not going to be a scatter plot. Does anyone have any questions about that? All right, then let's do this. Let's look at number 3. Do you think you can try number 3 by yourself? You want me to do it with you? We'll do it with you? Okay. Now, when you do this, notice we already have this going on. We do not want any of what we put in before to mess up our current problem. So we're just going to do a new document again. Don't even make a new sheet, because that is going to mess up everything. So this table is going to show a person's heart rate during exercise, and it changes as they get older. I will attest to that. So we're going to do X and Y. And then remember, this is our X column and this is our Y column. So you need to type in all of these numbers, right? So 20, 25, 30. I'm probably going to go a little faster than you, and that's okay. Make sure your Y values match your X values. All right, so when you're done, guys, what do you notice about the heart rate as the age goes up? What happens to the heart rate? It goes down. So do you think this is going to be a positive or a negative relationship? It is going to be a negative. Can we eliminate any answers then? C and D. And D doesn't even make sense because that's not between -1 and +1. All right, so we're here. Make sure it's not blinking. It needs to be blue. Menu. 4, 1, 3. Now we will use some of these others as we go through this semester, but right now we're using 3. X, down arrow, Y, and then enter, enter. There's our equation. That's a pretty ugly equation. So again, I ask you, I have an R squared and I have an R. Which one do we want to use? The R, which is what? Yeah, when I hover over it, it even shows me here. So what's our answer going to be? A. So what does that mean? It is a negative relationship that is super strong or super weak? Super strong. All right, we feeling a little bit better? Number 4, you have a picture here. I would suggest you draw your line of best fit like we talked about yesterday, and then you can decide. Remember, it is only a negative or a +1 if it is exactly linear. If it is a scatter plot, it will not be exactly -1 or +1. It's going to be a decimal. Let's look at, I think the rest of these you can pretty much do. I do want to look at number 15 with you. Okay, the rest of these you don't necessarily need your calculator for. This one already has it there for you. Let's look at number 15. Determine which set of data has a stronger relationship between X and Y. Now, it's not, you can't just look at this and see that. Okay, and when it says stronger, we're not actually looking at signs because the negative and the positive just tells us if it's going up or going down. Okay, when we say stronger or weaker, we're looking at the value. So the stronger it is, the closer it is to a positive or a -1. So what you're going to need to do is start a new document. Number 4, and you need to put your X and your Y in here. And you're going to have to find your R for each of these tables. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. Try this one on your own and we'll come back together and see how you did. Remember, you're looking at your R, not your R squared. It doesn't matter that one is positive and one is negative. All right, so this is what I got. Is this what you got for your R values? 0.97 and -0.99. Now I know normally we think that negatives are not as strong, right? That's a lower number. But again, we're not looking at the negative or the positive. We're just looking at the value. So which one is, what did it want us? A stronger relationship, A or B? B, very nice. Okay, now I do want to show you one thing. When you went through and you did menu 413 and you put in your X and your Y, do you see this little space right here where it says save, this is regression equation, and it's going to put it in F2. So I do want you to know, if you do control doc, and this is going to be important for when we get to graphing quadratics and exponentials, and it's helping us write equations. If we do control doc, we can add a graph. It's going to add a page up here for us. Notice it jumps to 3, but if I go up to 2, this is actually the equation that we just had. It's going to copy and paste that equation so you don't have to write it down. Does that make sense? So that's kind of a nice thing. All right, so here's what you're going to do. I want you to work through the rest of these. And then in Google Classroom, there is going to be a video on arithmetic sequences. So you need to watch that and you need to write those notes down. Okay, and tomorrow when we come in, we'll talk about arithmetic and geometric sequences. All right, so you guys have a good time.